to make sure that everyone has gotten your voting cards. You need to make sure and go to your town supervisors and register in order to get your cards to vote. So I ask everybody to rise so we can say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So first, I'd like to start the meeting off by introductions. So first of all, we have the Superintendent of Schools, Amanda Isabel. We have Timothy Josephson, the Chairman of the School Board, Hope Stragno, Vicki Conkey, Candace Fry, Danielle Thompson, Brewster Gove, who's not here, and Kathleen Stacy. Then for our Budget Committee, we have Wally Andrew, Corinne Morse, Taylor Annette is not here, Elise Payson, Amber Bissonette, Andrew Cushing, and Scott Sanborn. I'd also like to make sure and thank the supervisors from each town for coming in today and helping us. Rules, usually I have this big long list of rules. And today I've decided to just say, use your common sense. Be kind and be nice. So with that, I'll go ahead and start reading the warrant. To the inhabitants of the Mascoma Valley Regional School District in the County of Grafton, in the state of New Hampshire, consisting of the towns of Canaan, Dorchester, Enfield, Grafton, and Orange, qualified to vote in district fairs. You are hereby notified to meet on Saturday, February 3rd, 2024 at 9 a.m. at the Mascoma Valley Regional High School Auditorium in Canaan, New Hampshire. For the first session of the annual school district meeting, to hear explanation, discuss, and debate the subjects in warrant Articles 5 to 10. Articles 5 to 10 may be amended, subject to the following limitations. Warrant articles whose wording is prescribed by law shall not be amended. Warrant articles that are amended at the February 3rd session shall be placed on the official ballot for a final vote on the main motion as amended. And no warrant article shall be amended to eliminate the subject matter of the article. You are also hereby notified to meet again on Tuesday, March 12, 2024, for the second session of the annual school district meeting. To vote by official ballot to elect officers, to vote questions required by law to be inserted on said official ballot, and to vote on all the warrant articles from the first session. Location and polling hours for the March 12, 2024. There should be a correction in your book. Sessions are as follows. Town of Canaan, Canaan Fire Station, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Town of Dorchester, the Dorchester Town Hall, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Town of Enfield, Enfield Community Building, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Town of Grafton, Grafton Fire and Ambulance Station, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. And the Town of Orange, at the Orange Town Hall, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Article 1, to choose school district moderator. To choose by ballot one school district moderator to be elected at large to serve a 2-year term ending in 2026. Article 2, to choose a school district clerk. To choose by ballot one school district clerk to be elected at large to serve a 3-year term ending in 2027. Article 3, to choose school board members. To choose by ballot 2 members of the school board, each to be elected at large. One to serve a 3-year term ending in 2027 from the town of Canaan, and one to serve a 3-year term ending in 2027 from the town of Enfield. Article 4, to choose district budget committee members. To choose by ballot 2 members of the District Budget Committee, each to be elected at large, one to serve a 3-year term ending in 2027 from the town of Canaan, and one to serve a 3-year term ending in 2027 from the town of Enfield. Operating budget, Article 5. Shall the Mascoma Valley Regional School District raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth on the budget posted to the warrant or as amended by vote of the first deliberative session for the purposes set forth therein, totaling $32,058,421. Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall be the $31,775,785, which is the same as last year with certain adjustments, required by previous action of the Mascoma Valley Regional School District or by law, or the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 40:1310 and 16 to make up the issue of a revised operating budget only, majority vote required. I'm going to entertain the motion to skip reading with articles number 6 through 10 at this time.
I'll make a motion to skip reading that.
Second, Scott Sanborn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. So I'm going to open for discussion the operating budget. So,
Good morning, thanks for coming out. If you have trouble hearing, I can look the mic up, let me know. Or I'll try to use my old hockey coaching voice from back in the day. The first thing I'd like to do is thank the members of the Budget Committee for all the work they've put in, the school board, and especially the administration of the district and the individual schools, and also the facilities departments. They put in a ton of work behind the scenes that nobody ever sees except us. All our meetings are open. Our process starts back in late September and runs through the public hearing that we held in January, and then of course continues today. The administration does the work behind the scenes. They come to us with their budget. We spend about 3 months going through it line by line. We have a budget committee this year that has been very engaged, very knowledgeable, and very passionate, and there was a lot of discussion. So a lot of time and effort and thought has gone into what is being presented to you for a bottom line budget. So this year we reflect an increase of just over 3%. This is after several years of running flat or very nearly flat. We even had a year or two where we were slightly down. This is essentially not much more than a cost of living or inflationary increase. There's no major initiatives or anything like that that's driving the increase. The actual dollar figure is about $980,000 for the increase. If the budget does not pass, the default budget is going to be about $280,000 less than that, about a 2% increase. So the major driver of this is salary increases, which are related to the teacher's contract, which was voted in last year. And there are also some increases in the special education department due to some needs of students that we have, and also some increases in the contract services, which we were having to spend a little bit more on that because we've been difficulty finding staff. And so the district is having to spend a little bit more on contracted services. That drives. But the only other thing that's any kind of significant increase, there's been a little bit of a modest increase in the IT, the technical department, and that's related primarily to improvements in cybersecurity and data protection, which if you know anybody in the Lebanon School District, you know that's a very important thing to be paying attention to. So the department is trying to be proactive with that, and there's some increases in software to help keep the electronic data protected and chance of hacking and ransomware and all that kind of things down. So that's some modest increase in contracted services, plowing, grounds maintenance, the bus contract, things like that. So this is really just, like I said, a cost of living increase. If you look around the state, just about every district is up in that 3 to 4% range. So we're certainly not doing anything more than anybody else in that regard. But once again, a lot of people put a lot of time into coming up with the number that you see before you. The Budget Committee has recommended this unanimously. The school board has recommended this unanimously. And we ask for your support for this year's budget. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Tim Josephson. I'm the chair of the school board here. I don't have much more to add from what Scott said, except a thank you to everybody on the budget committee for putting all the hard work into this, and thank you to the administration for that. As Scott noted, there are some, slight increases, cost of living style, but I think given, what we've all seen with inflationary measures, this is a pretty good budget considering all of our costs and stuff. So thank you to the administration for putting that forward, and once again, thank you to all of you for your support. Thank you.
We'll open this for discussion. Anyone that wants to speak, please go to a microphone. State your name and what town you're from, please.
My name is Jacobo Buha. I'm from Grafton. I'd like just to mention that even though that the amount of students at the school decreases every year, the budget consistently go up, and the scores of the students remain the same or slightly decrease, but there's no real paying more money to the school does not increase the performance of the students in any way over time.
Dave Beauvais, Enfield. As some of you probably are aware, Enfield's been struggling with a much larger increase than this, depending on which figure you're on, which day you expect, somewhere in the vicinity of 10, 11% at least. So I applaud the work that you've done in creating a budget, particularly over the years, that is this responsible. Thank you.
Tim Lanahan, Enfield. I just wanted to not only echo what David said, but as someone who spent the last 15 years in child welfare in the state, the special education costs that have come as a result of children being isolated during the COVID shouldn't be overlooked. And it's not just Mascoma, I've worked with every school district within about 70 miles, and proud to say my own does a better job at it.
No further discussion? We'll go on to article number 6. So limit to reconsider article number 5. All those in favor, please raise your cards. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article number 6, fund facilities capital reserve for the capital improvement plan. Shall the Mascoma Valley Regional School District vote to raise and appropriate a sum up to $250,000 to be added to the facilities capital reserve fund previously established in 1988 to fund the capital improvement plan, this sum to come from June 30th fund balance available for transfer on July 1st. No amount to be raised from additional taxation. So this capital reserve
Reserve Fund was established for the purpose of funding school facility projects over $25,000. The plan itself can be found on page 30 in the annual report. And it represents the administration's current 10-year plan for ongoing repair, replacement, and upgrades for all our facilities. The total costs over the 10-year period equal approximately $2 million and varying costs year to year depending on the work scheduled. Next year's costs are estimated about $359,000. The projects anticipated for next year are a finalization of the IRS skylight replacement project, gym painting at IRS, refurbishing the flat top roof at EVS, and completing air exchange projects both at EVS and CES. Basically, one of the primary goals of the administration and facilities director has been to put the Mascoma district in a proactive position in terms of facilities management. This plan represents the current execution of such. Funding projects out of year-end unassigned fund balances helps keep the budget and the local school property tax rates level. Our ability to retain these funds gives us the capacity to improve and maintain our facilities, providing our children with a safe and healthy learning environment. And we very much appreciate your support on this article.
So I just want to speak very briefly in general regarding the capital reserve funds. These are a very responsible way to approach our budgeting for both anticipated expenses that will be coming up over periods of time, but also as contingency funds for potentially unexpected expenses that can come up. And what these do is they protect your tax rate from fluctuating wildly from year to year. So we very strongly recommend that you support all of these capital reserve development requests. Thank you.
Article 6, open for discussion. Again, please go to a mic if you'd like to speak. Give your name and the town you represent.
Gary Whitney, I'm from Grafton. I have a few questions here first. Article 6 says, and of course, the very last sentence says, no amount to be raised from additional taxation. Well, of course, that is technically true. It's a little bit deceiving in the sense that since these funds are being taken out of the unreserved fund balance, they will result in a decrease in that fund, which at the end of the year normally gets refunded as a credit to the towns. Am I not correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So there is a potential increase impact on additional taxation in the future, if not this year, as stated in the article, correct? Okay. I also noticed the statement said, the article says a sum of up to $250,000. On page 29 of the warrant, where it says Capital Reserve Funds Report, under the facilities line, there's an entry of $150,000 for our contributions. Now that's obviously less than the $250,000. Is that the amount that was actually allocated to the fund last year, where it says up to $250,000, we just put in $150,000? Is that correct?
Jeff would like to speak to that.
That is correct. What you're looking at on page 29 is what happened as of last fiscal year, June 30th. So that $150,000 was on the warrant article last year for this facilities account. That was for the year before. So this year, there's $250,000 listed to go in there. And that's what we sent for the year we're in now. So that was as of the end of 2023 that you're looking at for the 150.
Okay, but last year there was only a need for 150,000. That's what you're saying, right?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. But, okay. Well, given the fact that a capital improvement plan is supposed to try and smooth out spikes in the budget in that regard, and especially since we're in these tough economic times, whereas we've had record amounts of inflation, I'd like to make a motion that we reduce the number of 250 in Article 6 to 150, given the fact that that was all that was needed before, and that it will reduce the potential amount refunded to the towns at the end of the year in the unallocated fund reserve, an extra 100,000.
If you want to make that amendment, you need to put it in writing and present it to me, please.
Okay.
Carol Ann Morrison, former employee of the district, I'm retired now. They've already told us they expect the needs to be around $350,000. So what we are putting in the account, plus what's already there, will pay for the work that we know is needed. In addition, sometimes stuff happens. If you don't plan for it, then you're trying to figure out what you have to cut to come up with the money to fix it. Approximately 10 years ago, I was working in the middle school library when water started coming through the ceiling. No one expected there to be a leak in a roof, but there was. And if we don't plan, then we get stuck with a big bill that we then have to figure out where the money's coming from.
Before we go on, I want to read this amendment. Article number 6. Shall the Mascoma Valley Regional School District vote to raise and appropriate a sum up to $150,000 to be added to the Facilities Capital Reserve Fund previously established in 1988 to fund the capital improvement plan. This sum to come from June 30th fund balance available for transfer on January 1st. No amount to be raised from additional taxation. Do I have a second? Go to the mic and state your name. And please spell your name for the minute taker.
YAKOVABUHAV. I'll second that motion. Can I add on to what it said? The money that is intended to be in the capital reserve next year is already, the balance is supposed to be 140, therefore that money would still keep the capital improvement plan on track to what it's supposed to be with spending.
So before we go further with discussion, we already have an amendment on the floor. We need to vote on that amendment. So before we take a vote,
Can you repeat the amendment?
Point of order, can we discuss the amendment?
we can discuss the amendment. Would you be willing to okay, so you're going to take this section and would you be willing to so you're going to take the middle section and the section my left, please. Okay, go ahead.
Dan Kiley, Enfield, I hope you will not vote for this amendment. This is a 10-year CIP plan, which has been set up by the administration. I don't think you want to drop it by $100,000, because if you look at the plan needs to be funded at the levels that they're showing it. Thank you.
Yes, but according to the plan, the 10-year plan does include a $600,000, over $600,000 to be left in the capital reserve balance. So this money is just extra money. It is not already allocated for something specific.
So I'm going to reread this amendment. Shall the Mascoma Valley Regional School District vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $150,000 to be added to the Facilities Capital Reserve Fund, previously established in 1988, to fund the capital improvement plan, this sum to come from June 30th fund balance available for transfer on July 1st. No amount to be raised from additional taxation. So I'm going to ask the counters to stand. If you are in favor for this amendment, please raise your cards.
Or
If you are opposed to this amendment, please raise your cards. Five yes, 60 nay. The amendment fails. So we go back to the original warrant article. Article number 7. Shall the Mascoma Valley Regional School District vote to raise and appropriate a sum up to $50,000 to be added to the Special Education Capital Reserve Fund, previously established in 2001. This sum to come from the June 30th fund balance available for transfer on July 1st. No amount shall be raised for additional taxation.
Good morning, I'm Danielle Thompson from Enfield. Thanks for coming this morning. You'll notice that again on page 29, the Capital Reserve Fund report, last year we increased this fund by $25,000. You'll see that this year it is $50,000. Special education costs are really dependent on the student population, and that's one of the things that's very, very difficult to predict in advance. And so being able to make sure that we have the funds that are needed to educate and to get our students the care that they need is really important to us. I also want to make sure that you have seen in your annual report on pages 42 and 43 the report of the students that are served and the types of things that our students and staff are involved in. Shout out to Chris Bizzo for doing a great job in managing this department and also being available to the school board whenever we have questions about things. So we'll have your support on this warrant article.
The special education fund is one of the most critical that we have here in the district. It looks like a big chunk of money that's in that fund, but that can disappear very quickly in the event of one or two students with profound needs moving into the district or a catastrophic accident to a student. So it's very important to keep this fund at a level that can cover those kinds of eventualities. So it may seem like a large number, but it's in the context of what it's there to provide, it really is not. So we definitely want to keep adding to that annually and keep that fund up. Thank you.
Article 7, open for discussion.
How much was expended?
State your name.
My name is Jacobo from Grafton. How much was expended from the fund in the previous year?
hasn't taken any money out of that fund. That fund is intended, if we have a student move into the district that's high needs. We had a student come out of a placement that cost over $400,000. So if we have a student move in the middle of the year, we have not budgeted any extra for students we don't know about. So that fund is for that purpose only. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. When was the last time money was expended from the fund?
We have not expended. We've worked on building it up so it would cover a placement that was really expensive.
So there's no specific allocation for the funds? It's just a theoretical fund?
You could say it's theoretical, but it can happen. Students move around a lot more today than they used to a few years ago, and I think the special ed director would agree with me that we keep our fingers crossed that we're not going to receive any high-need students in the middle of a year.
Joseph Wood, Enfield. I'm a special educator in the area, and I am a full proponent of this fund. I work in a local district, and I see these move-ins happen on a relatively regular basis. You don't know what's going to be coming your way as an educator, and these funds are explicitly important for us to do our jobs. We have kids that come in with medical needs, with cognitive impairment, with things that the educators in this district may not be trained for. So these funds are not necessarily just for outside placements, but they're also for being able to train the teachers that you already have on staff in order to meet the needs of these students. So while we have not drawn from that account, it is nothing that could stop a $500,000 case from coming into this district when somebody simply moves here. So I'm a full proponent of this addition to the fund. Thank you.
Tim Lenahan, Enfield. As I stated before, the need has gone up with the isolation that happened during the pandemic. Services have risen significantly. Easter Seals, one of the largest providers in the state, gave pay enhancements to all of their field staff of 20% in the last 12 months. They had to do it to have the staff, but those costs get passed down. The cost of neuropsychological assessments probably doubled over the last 5 years, having seen dozens of them. And as things have been developed, new types of assessments have to get done. Psycholinguistics, things I had never heard of in my career, but they are happening. And when they happen, there's a federal law that says we have to meet them. It's not have a special meeting or have one that you have to pay for it. And with those things going up, and unpredictably so, you have to have a buffer, and I fully support this article.
Gary Whitney from Grafton once again. Just want to point out the current balance of this fund is $652,000 or thereabouts and change for a fund that hasn't been used in quite a while, and also the fact that we have to have potential for future students. 652 is a whole lot of money. Also, I note what was just said. Last year, the amount was $25K. This year, we're trying to add another $25K to that, doubling this fund, potentially. That means that potentially the unallocated fund reserve could be decreased even more, and the towns will get less at the end of the year in that refund. In that sense, this is not an accurate statement. No additional amount to be raised in additional taxes. There is potential taxation impacts, and the amount the towns get could be reduced an extra $25K. So in that regard, I'd like to make a motion that we return the amount to last year's amount, 25K, i.e. change 50,000 to 25,000. I'll have to be.
So I have an amendment to Article number 7. Shall the Mascoma Valley Regional School District vote to raise and appropriate a sum up to $25,000 to be added to the Special Education Capital Reserve Fund previously established in 2001. This sum to come from June 30th fund balance available for transfer on July 1st. No amount to be raised from additional taxation. Do I have a second on this amendment? To the microphone and state your name and town, please.
Jacobo Grafton, I'll second the motion.
Dave Buffet, Enfield. I support the original article and call a question.
Can I get my counters to count, please? All those in favor of the amendment, please raise your cards.
5.
All those opposed? I'm counting. I'm sorry, what was yours?
19.
Thank you. The ayes have it. I'm sorry, the nays have it. So we go back to
Motion to restrict reconsideration on Articles 6 and 7.
Right, because she wants to vote 6 and 7.
Second.
Kimberly, did you get those?
Sorry.
All those in favor? All those in favor to limit reconsideration for Articles number 6 and 7 indicate by raising your cards. David Buffet seconded it. Yeah, he was at the microphone instead. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article number 8. Shall the Mascoma Valley Regional School District establish a Sustainability Capital Reserve Fund under the provisions of RSA 35:1 for the purpose of addressing energy and environmental sustainability to improve building environments and efficiency for students and staff, and to raise and appropriate a sum up to $50,000 to be placed in this fund. This sum to come from June 30th fund balance available for transfer on July 1st, and appoint the school board as agents to expend. No amount to be raised from additional taxation.
Hello again, Tim Josephson here. So this is a new fund that we're looking to establish, and this came at the request of many community members who approached both school board members and budget committee members asking what can we do for our sustainability. And so our idea with this fund is that we would be able to have some money that could be accessed outside of the regular, budget thing that we've set aside for these purposes. Because in a lot of the recent congressional legislation that's come out, whether it's the Inflation Reduction Act, the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, or the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act. All of those have a great deal of sustainability initiatives, and a lot of federal money is out there. For a district like ours, that's huge. We have fallen into a lot of categories where we can have a very low, pay a very low share, and the federal or state grants will move in to take care of that. As some of you may have seen on the Valley News this week, there was an article about Sunapee School putting in wood boilers. We did that a while ago, but there was they were able to get that because there's federal money out there, there's state money out there, and by having the flexibility of having these capital reserve fund, we would be able to act on grants with tight deadlines and be able to take advantage of some of these opportunities that are out there. And the idea is that the money we save from things that we put in place, such as replacing lighting with LEDs or things like that, we would then ask to reinvest those savings into the fund. Obviously, there'd be a long-term savings. When you replace a light bulb in your house, you don't have to replace it every year. You have a long savings on that. So, long-term savings for the district. This will give us more flexibility to go after some federal grants and things like that. So, we ask for your support for this motion. Thank you.
Open for discussion?
Cindy Cudler, Grafton. I'm just wondering where these kind of projects would fall in regards to the capital improvement plan. These are things that are not part of that plan, but would still happen.
Some of them are, and that would be a good way that we can take them off the capital reserve, capital improvement plan. By being able to go after federal money and not local taxpayer money, that would be a way that we could also save money in the long term. So yes.
Caroline Morrison, Canaan. One of the best things about this is that it's not just better for our community, it's better for our planet. And we're finding ways to make it work cost effectively. But in addition, I'd like to say, we keep hearing if we do this, we're taking money out of taxpayers' pockets. We're not going to get our money back. You see those big numbers, 150,000. But having lived in a much larger town with a much larger tax base, I will tell you, when you get the money back, it's like 20 bucks. So when we start talking about we have to cut costs, you're not making anything back on your tax bill.
Gary Whitney again, from Grafton. This might be a very good idea, but we have no data, we have no past experience knowing how much we really need in this fund. And yeah, it's probably a good idea, like I said, but 50,000 is a very large number, and again, it's going to reduce the potential refund that the taxpayers will get by getting a credit from the unallocated reserve. So in that light, I'd like to make a motion that we reduce 50,000 to 5,000. We'll still be funding it, but we don't need the whole 50K. That's going to be essentially a increase in taxation, like I said.
I'm going to go ahead and read this amendment. Shall the Mascoma Valley Regional School District establish a Sustainability Capital Reserve Fund under the provisions of RSA 35:1 for the purpose of addressing energy and environmental sustainability to improve building environments and efficiency for students and staff, and to raise and appropriate a sum up to $5,000 to be placed in this fund. This sum to come from June 30th fund balance, available for transfer on July 1st, and appoint the school board as agents to expend, no amount to be raised from additional taxation. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
State your name and your town, please.
Club of Grafton.
Did you want to speak?
I have a question. This is the capital improvement plan already covers $270,000 for lighting project and $380 for HVAC and so on. So what is this fund going to cover that the capital improvement doesn't already cover? Or is this purely for grants?
So the idea is that this is for opportunities that we have. We have to have a match in a lot of grants, like they'll say we'll provide 80% of the funding if you provide 20 or something like that. This will allow us to have that flexibility. The overlap with the capital improvement is that we might be able to find a program that pays for one of the things on our capital improvement plan down the line, and then we can do that with federal, a balance of federal money and local money, and then take that off the capital improvement plan, thus reducing the burden in the long run.
But that money would have already been allocated in the budget.
No.
Well, if you have money allocated for replacing the lighting, and you get a grant for it, so there's already money allocated in the budget that could match that grant.
It's not in the budget, it's in the capital improvement plan.
Yes, which is...
So they're two different things.
Correct, but that money can't be used to match grants?
No, because it's not. It's for capital improvement projects that we're actually spending money on the project. It's not for the grants or anything like that.
Joseph Wood, Enfield. I have a question regarding this fund because it is new. So this is meant to get an opportunity for getting federal funds in order for us to take projects off of the capital improvement plan. Is that correct?
Ultimately, that's our hope, is that we can find projects that align with our improvement plan, in our long-term plan, and then be able to take those off if those opportunities arise. That's a benefit of having a capital improvement fund for sustainability like this. It just gives us the flexibility so that we can take advantage of grants when they come up, as they come up in cycles throughout the year at various times.
Do you have any examples of the kind of grants that you guys would be getting?
Do you have any? I don't have any specifically, but if you look in a lot of the federal, the Infrastructure and Investment Jobs Act, the IRA, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act, those all have a lot of federal grants in them, all directed at energy efficiency and things like that. There's a lot of them. I don't have any specifics, no.
Now, the timeline for these particular grants is relatively short, so you need to have the funding at hand in order to take advantage of these programs. Is that correct?
That is correct. A lot of times they'll announce a funding opportunity. Let's say they'll announce one on January 5th. The interest deadline will be, say February 28th, and then you have to have your application in by, March 30th. So it's a very short window that you have. So not a full season where we can come to a deliberative session, put it in the budget, work it out like that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Caroline Morrison from Canaan again. Just for the record, $5,000 buys you just about, not quite, a household-sized mini-split hot water tank.
Catherine Plumley Stewart. So I think we need to vote the amendment down because it shows no planning and no foresight. I really worry about missing out on grant opportunities because we're being kind of foolish. And grant opportunities, for example, you look in Grant Station, I get them every day. Grant Station lists federal opportunities that are available to school districts, to nonprofits. So things like having a generator, perhaps, right? air system. There are all sorts of still COVID-type related grants for different air things. So I'm not an HVAC person, so I read them and I think, I don't need this one, but it's something that I think might be appropriate for here and for the school. So having this money is crucial. You don't have a big enough budget. There's not enough fluff to just pull a $50,000 match out of your ears like a rabbit.
Dave, you go ahead, he can speak.
Dave Buffet again, Enfield. As some of you know, I'm going to push for fiscal responsibility in a lot of things. And the return on investment of even $5,000 may well outlive my lifetime, but I still think this is good planning. Please support the original article and vote down the amendment. Thank you. And I call the question.
Question's been called, so the counters, please.
I didn't finish. Regarding the comment that there is no money in the budget for these things and if their need arise, that's not the case. The school is already refunding $800,000 to the towns that it is that were unexpended. So that is already money that's in the budget that the school is not using anyway. So there's plenty of money in the budget. And also this is just starting another theoretical fund for no exact purpose that can be stated for. You're already sitting on $650 on the special ed with no specific allocation. This is another budget that will remain the same, that will grow every year, but will not have anything to be expended for. Also, if it was said that if this would use the grants that would be received, money that will be received through grants will use to offset the capital improvement plan expenses. So are you saying that in case the school gets a grant, you will reduce in the next year the money that you're asking for such a fund?
No, because that's the budget, and the capital improvement plan is a 10-year plan. So the capital improvement plan, if we got something on that plan, we would remove it from the 10-year plan. And maybe we would reallocate what we look at for reserving for the capital improvement fund facilities line. Maybe we reduce that ask in the future years, but it's not affected, it's not part of the budget, it's part of the 10-year plan. Does that answer your question?
Partially, yeah. So money that would come in from grants would not go to reduce the future taxes, is what you're saying?
No, that it would come out of the capital improvement plan, and it would take those things off of that. So it would take future expenses that we're planning on, and it would take that off of our plate.
Such as what expenses?
Such as an HVAC, replacement.
Well, that's already budgeted.
It is already. It's in the capital improvement plan. It's budgeted in that. So it would come out. It would be removed from that. And it would make the entire capital improvement plan smaller by that amount.